Besides, my voice sounds funny on the tape.
Well, your voice sounds funny anyway, on the tape or otherwise, you see.
Does it?
Yeah, of course it does. But this doesn't matter. I don't know much about you, really, do I? All I know is that you're Mrs. Atkins and you're sitting in 7 Madeira Walk. The sun's coming in the window, you see? And it's nearly 11:15 on the 25th of August, 1973.
It's time for a cup of tea then.
Tea's on. Joan's making the tea. I've already done that, you see.
Oh, that's cheering news.
Right, okay. Now, I don't really know much about how you met Mr. Atkins. When you looked at him, and where you saw him.
Oh, when I looked at him, I knew he was the one.
The one. You looked at him and you hoped he'd be the one. You said, did you say to yourself,
I didn't even think about hope. I felt pretty sure somehow.
Did you think that when you looked at him, you said, right, now he's the one. If I can't have him, I'm going to have nobody else.
Yes, I think I might have thought that.
But at the same time, had you not had Mr. Atkins, no doubt there were others knocking about somewhere.
No, I was very shy. I never spoke to the boys at the church. I lived alone with an old lady, and I had too much solitude for a young girl.
Oh.
I was only 14 when I went to her, and I stayed with her 7 years.
Where was this then? Over at Bexley, somewhere in Bexley?
Herbert Road, Plumstead, South East London.
Yeah, South East London, it's well known. I used to live in SE1.
Yes.
In Bermondsey.
Dear old Kent Road, eh?
Yeah.
I went up there many a time. Used to visit my aunt.
This was before they altered all the...
or was it the new Kent Road? I don't know.
Well, the old Kent Road started at about New Cross and went down...
That's right, New Cross.
Or went all the way down to Bricklayers Arms.
Used to go to Kennington. Change the tram at Kennington and go to Tooting.
Yes. That came along the Camberwell New Road, I think that was. I'm not quite sure. But the Old Kent Road used to go from New Cross down to Bricklayers Arms, and then from there it went to the Elephant and Castle, and that was the New Kent Road.
Yes, that's right.
And then from the Bricklayers Arms there was a Great Dover Street, which used to go to the Borough, and we still go to the Borough as far as I know. And another road, the Tower Bridge Road, that went all the way up to Tower Bridge. But anyway, we're getting off the point. This interview is supposed to be about Mrs. Winifred Atkins.
Has this all been taken down in evidence against me?
Yes.
Oh my goodness me.
So we'll remember this in the future. Now what else now? You saw Mr. Atkins and you gazed at him with adoring eyes and you said, this is him.
It was in a Young People's Guild meeting at All Saints Church.
In Plumstead?
Yes. He didn't speak to me for 2 years.
Didn't he?
No, I was too shy to make friends with the boys. In those days there wasn't so much, we didn't stay out at night and go out to various things like they do now. There was only the church
It wasn't the
meeting.
chance for freedom then?
No, well I didn't have. A good many girls in service didn't have it either. You just had Wednesday and Sunday and evenings, 1 day a month, and that was all the outing I had.
And I suppose that in those days women used to be on one side of the room and the boys on the other, and never the twain shall meet sort of thing.
Well, I was never in any room with boys, only at the guild, at the parish hall. And
how about Mr. Atkins? Did he have his eyes on any other bird, as it might be?
Well, there was a young lady, yes, he had a girl named Winnie Barnett then.
Oh, yeah.
And he gave her up because she wanted him to go for a walk on Sunday afternoons, and he had a Sunday school class, which he wouldn't give up. And all his life he put God first, right from that time. And so Winnie gave him up, and there was another girl called Dora. He was quite, he didn't really want her, but she had her eyes on him, and wherever there was a guild outing, she kept by his side.
Oh, good, yeah.
And he didn't want to hurt her feelings, so he asked my Mrs. Kemp my lady, what he should do, because he didn't want to hurt her feelings, but he didn't want her dog in every footstep like she was.
Yeah.
And she said, well now, she said, what about my little Winifred? So he started thinking about little Winifred. So he's really to Mrs. Kemp I owe my husband. And he thought, so he asked me to tea, and from that time on, we were friends. Good friends.
So he left Dora Ball and came for Winifred, did he? And then that went on, and he used to take you out, did he? Where did he take you?
Well, he was working in Woolwich Arsenal at the time, and I used to meet him at the Arsenal gates on Wednesday evening as he came from work. Go home with him for the evening, or we usually went to the meeting at the church service. Not a meeting, just a Church of England service every Wednesday evening.
When you say you went home with him, where was home?
Elmdene Road, Plumstead.
Oh, and he lived with his mum and dad, did he?
Well, Dad was at sea, he was a captain at sea, and very rarely home. And Mother was rather lonely, so I used to visit her.
That was where Auntie Chris lived as well?
Yes, his sister lived there. And then, after a while, he wanted to get out of the Arsenal, he wanted to get into a drawing office, engineering office, drawing office. So, he went to Luton, I think, was the first place. George Kent at Luton.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
So I saw him only at weekends when he came home, just for a few hours on Sundays usually. I wasn't allowed out on Saturday, only very rarely. So I saw him for a couple of hours on Sundays.
Just on Sundays?
Yes.
Oh, because he was at Luton, wasn't he?
Yes. And then he went to several other places. He lived at Southgate, Priam Barnet, I think it was.
Yeah, they're both North London.
Hayes in Middlesex.
Mm.
He went to the Ferry Aviation Company and just came home like that. And that was all I saw of him, except the bank holiday and occasional Saturday afternoon for 6 years.
A long time, isn't it?
It was a long time, but there were long dole queues and a lot of unemployment, and you couldn't get married in those days unless you had a bit of money, unless you wanted to end up on the dole without a job.
So he he used to work at the Ferry Aviation Company, which I take it was a place where they taught ferries to fly.
No, it was a big, I think it's still in existence.
It probably is, isn't it? The factory's probably still used for making aircraft. And he left that and went to Luton.
No, it started at Luton.
Oh, I see, oh. Was the Ferry Aviation wasn't at Luton then?
Hayes,
Middlesex. Middlesex. And he used to come, as you said before, back to see you at weekends. And this went on for about 6 years.
Well, early on, he thought he might be called to be a missionary. So he started a Bible study course. And I did also, not that I had any thought of being a missionary. I wasn't very strong. And he was rejected by 2 societies on account of his health. Not because he was delicate, he was very fit, but he'd had St. Vitus dance as a child, and they wouldn't risk taking him. Well, that put him back 2 years with his engineering studies, so that even after we were married he was still passing exams, and he eventually got where he wanted to. And then, of course, we were married.
Where was this he got to before you were married? He eventually got where he wanted to. Where was
that? I forget the letters now, the associate member.
Oh, I see, he got his sort of degrees.
Yes.
You didn't mean
get a degree, they were just qualifications for engineering. And then long while after we were married, he got more. He was always studying. He spent nearly all his spare time studying.
Then when you got married, you went all over the country then, did you?
No, he went, when we were married, he changed his job a week before we were married.
Yeah, yeah.
And we thought we'd wait no longer. I was not feeling very well at living with the old lady so long. She was ill and I had a lot to do. So we decided to get married in the April, and he changed his job a week before because he thought it would be a better one than the one he was in, and he went to the Siemens and General Electric, which is part of the
GEC, yeah.
At Wembley. Well, we got a little flat in Plumstead. He got married, got a little flat in Plumstead, and he found it was too far to travel from Plumstead to Wembley every day. It was very exhausting.
Yeah.
So we decided to move to North London. We went to Kensal Rise, where John was born. And then...
You must have been at Kensal Rise and Plumstead a little while then.
Yes.
When was John, how long after you were married was John born?
About 18 months
About 18
after
months.
we were married.
Oh.
And we were not happy in the flat. It was a horrid flat with a railway at the back, and the poor old lady downstairs who used to waylay me on the stairs every time I came out of the door. So we decided to look for a house. In those days you could buy a house for £25 down, but we didn't want to buy one immediately, so we got a rented one. A row in the middle of a field, a muddy field it was, with 3/4 of a mile of muddy road down to, I think it was Kenton Road. The buses ran to Harrow.
Yeah.
And we joined the Belmont Hall meeting. Up till then we'd been at the Baptist at Kensal Rise, Baptist Tabernacle.
Yeah.
We joined the Belmont Hall meeting, which was a lovely meeting, but of course I couldn't go very often. I had a daughter soon after, when John was 6 months old, so that I didn't get very far.
Let's see now. That doesn't make sense to me. John was 6 months old and you had another daughter. Could that be possible? No wrong there.
I didn't mean to say that. I mean, there was 15 months between them.
Oh, that's it. So
That's
he
what I
was
meant
about
to
15
say.
months old.
15 months, yes.
You had been at this
15
place
months.
about 6 months when...
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, we'd been at the flat for 6 months. And, what then? Old Dad, not satisfied with his job, thought he'd try another. In those days you just had to get on. The wages weren't very good. We were paying 25 shillings a week out of £4.10 a week wages.
Which is quite... Wasn't a bad wage for those days, £4.10.
No, but the house rents weren't very cheap.
No.
Not even then.
No.
And we went to look at some new houses, £25 down. I think it was 750 the house.
Yeah.
The same ones that are selling for 1,700 now, I expect, something like that.
More than possible.
Anyway, it was a nice little place. But we went home and we went over our finances again and decided it would make it cutting it too fine. We shouldn't have anything left over for any troubles or unemployment or anything. That in those days I think we were more conscious of things like that.
Yeah.
There was no welfare state.
No.
And
No, because you had to. There was a small, wasn't it? Wasn't there on the panel? I seem to remember.
Only the husband got any
Did
benefit
he? Yeah.
for illness.
Yeah.
And so consequently we didn't often go to the doctor because we had to pay £0.50
Yeah.
which was quite a large sum out of the weekly wage.
Yeah.
Anyway, he got a job in Derby at Celanese, the Celanese factory.
Oh, that's an old firm.
Yes. So a cousin came to stay with me who was unemployed at the time, cousin Doris, and stayed with me while he was in Derby looking for a house. Eventually he found one, and we moved up to Derby, but we didn't like it in Derby. It seemed to be raining all the time, and everything was grey. The little houses were all grey, and the pavements were all grey.
Yeah.
And I suppose I was not in very good health, and we all had bad sore throats, and they told us it was because Derby was in a valley.
In the industrial area?
Yes, yes.
Was this Chaddesden or something like that?
No, Chaddesden. The doctor advised us to move out to Chaddesden if we could, but Dad wasn't very thrilled with Celanese. He didn't like all the hush-hush, and he thought he'd try somewhere else. So back to dear old London we came, much to my joy,
Yeah.
to Streatham.
Streatham? What was the address this time then?
8 Stockport Road, Streatham.
Oh.
We lived opposite a school, which was very handy for the 2 little ones. And however, he lost his job after 8 weeks, I think. Oh, several months maybe.
What firm was this now you said? I don't think you did say. You went from Celanese to where?
I don't remember what the firm name. It was an engineering firm. He was there such a short time, and the manager had a friend, I think, who wanted the job.
Oh, I see.
So Dad had to go.
Oh, yeah, that's a blow.
Well, he didn't tell me that he was unemployed because I was expecting Dorothy